Yeah, whole prof here, and we're getting some lights going so we can do some more unboxings. Yeah, gotta clean that off. The NUK, happy. That NUK, not happy. For those wondering, watch my... What do we get? I think it's the NUK Pro 14. I think so. Yeah, NUK Pro 14 down here. Replacing a NUK. That's an Asus NUK. Replacing an Intel NUK. You're like, well, those look the same. How are they any different? Asus bought. Intel was going to kill the NUK, and Asus struck a deal to keep it. Next thing we're dealing with, now that the hardware issue is solved, we now have a software issue. Pretty sure I have to increase the recovery partition size because there's a minimum. And it's a pretty common thing that we've even had to script at work that you can't install certain security updates without expanding that recovery partition. And if the partition layout is incompatible, it can't just expand it itself. You're like, what do you mean by that? Well, in this case, that system that was a NUC 10 probably was, was previously a not only was it an older NUC, I think it was like a 6th gen, and probably a 3rd or 4th gen NUC. Before that, it had Windows 7 at one point. I don't know if we ever went to 8 on there. We may have skipped it. I'm trying to remember. But either way, that might explain the unhappy partition arrangement. Those that are wondering / interested. Because I think I converted that one from an MBR to a GPT partition. It's like BIOS to UEFI conversion, which made it unhappy. I know I've resized the drive a number of times too, because I want to say that thing was originally a 60 or an 80 gig SSD, then it went probably to like a 120. Now it's on I think it went to a 256 at one point. Now it's on a 512. And that 512 thing, oh, that was a mess. I had managed to get the old 256 imaged over, but I could not. This may explain the recovery partition thing. Recovery partition's at the end of the drive, so I couldn't expand the 256 to the 512. That explains a lot. It's probably why it's running into this issue now with making it slightly larger. Because I've already dealt with that once, now that I think about it. Yeah. Well, what are we going to do in this one? Well, I'm going to drink some green tea, as always. What else? How about we open these new Knipexes? I'm going to order some more, because there's some more that came in and were announced. Not in time for the last shipment to come in from Home Depot. Right after this, we're going to crack into what I just kicked off, which is the new Packout compatible Shockwave bit set, which is better and worse at the same time. Just throw some comments in there. Maybe that'll actually be a quick one for once. So we got a little bit of a recap here. And we got our little clippy clamp falling over, as always. That's why these things wear out over time or something. And what do we got here? Well, we've got 2 Knipex. These were in that big Home Depot haul, which I do still need to do another order of. I need to order There's probably like 4 nitpicks in stock. A bunch more got announced, sort of when I checked this past weekend as well. Most of those were not in stock on Home Depot or any place that sells them yet, though the nitpicks. Hey, Gertrude's here. Gertrude Ophelia. The granny cat has showed up. Hey, granny kitty cat. How are you? Yeah. Oh, and the wire stripper with the nip extend handle, they're being shown off on Instagram. Still doesn't exist. So let's take a look at this first guy here. Yeah, Gertrude. Which is the 7002125. So that means it's a pretty small one. This is probably going to have the smaller... I don't know, I grabbed the knife. Don't you? Yeah, Gertrude wants attention. It is past 2 a.m., which means they think it's time to sit down and watch anime or TV. Though I did that right after work today. And she was sitting there with me already once. But obviously, apparently, I did not provide enough scritches. Alright. We're going to keep that for the photo. We don't need that. This is probably going to come up in a future video too. I did rebuy the James brand knife. They got me. We'll see if I like it this time. Or at least I like it more. Gertrude, yeah. So this guy, this is a little one. With the smaller nip extend handle, not the standard one. I don't know what you necessarily want to call them. I just have them diagonal cutter, but this is like an ache. Yay! Oh shit! Yeah, you rub it on the. If the camera's moving, that's Gertrude. Because I'm not giving her attention. She's going after the thing that I am giving attention, apparently. Yeah. Yeah, you're being cute, but off camera, Gertrude. Yeah. So let's do a double. There you go, 2x zoom. So, like I said, 70. 02125. Small, I would call it like an acorn head wire cutter, diagonal cutter specifically. Nice little one in the hand. This one does not have, I have to look up in their guide to see if they have recommended things to come with it. A lot of theirs do have, like, you know, you either want soft wire or you want, which is usually copper or aluminum, or they'll even say like piano wire up into a certain amount. I'd like to see, they do have one side open left on this grip here. You know, if we do model, Vanadium Super, we got the UPC, and might not be bad to see there, like recommended wire diameters and stuff like that, or wire types. Just a little snipper. This is not like a precision one. I wouldn't probably keep this at my soldering bench because those are even smaller. Often you'd want flush cut. I could see doing like car electronics, especially like especially radio stuff. This might be a good size because generally you're dealing with stranded copper wire there. You know, fits well in the hand. Little snappy action there. Let me know what size you would specifically pick this guy up for. 125. That should be. That's smaller than my 4-inch Stanley. That's for sure. Like head-wise, but it is 5.5. So the 125s. Definitely the length. We knew that previously. I don't remember what, I think 70 is the style, 02 is the finish, because I think some of my 03s or 05s are the chrome ones. A little bit of an interesting thing that I noticed and I picked up on the head of this. There's like extra material here. Do you see it gets fatter and then it gets thinner? It gets fatter and then it gets thinner. And if you look on the inside here, that's because that's where that like bevel is cut out. So just, I don't know if that is done for a particular reason. But that is very purposely done, because there are lines going this way that did that notch, but then there are no such lines on the inside of, of the cutting edge there. So that was the 7002 125 there. You guys gotta see this cuteness. Look at that. Look at over there. Gertrude. Yeah. Next one up, we have the 20 02 160, a little bit bigger size. And this is their flat nose pliers comfort handles. Very well greased. Holy jeez. This is definitely still a smaller grip on this one. I think even smaller. I'd have to go get one of the 160 wire cutters, but to me this grip feels smaller than the 160 millimeter wire cutters. Like, feels actually, you know, it's not this small, right? You can see by the rubber thumb area there, right? But width wise, it is that small, so it is the smaller size handle. Whereas if you look at like some of my 160 millimeter wire cutters, they don't have this smaller size handle, despite being smaller. So this is flat nose pliers. I don't want to say it's a duck bill. It might be, because you see these like slightly rounded slots here. These flat ones are great for grabbing flat stock, especially bending things. If you want to bend it like at a 90-degree angle, you know, very, very good for that. A lot of these generally have very good teeth and knurling on them. If you can see that up there. There's no cross hatching here. It's all in the one direction. You know, so that's assuming you're kind of pulling, not left to right action, but you know, going like that. You know what I've had some flat nose pliers in the past. Probably the last one. I had like a really, back when Craftsman was in Sears, you know, this is probably when I was a wee lad. I had a flat, you know, no teeth, no, my brain's farting on the, what do you want to call those? It was more like this, but no rounded edges here at all, right? But it was flat. There was no teeth in there, which is a little bit different than they call this. This is from Tsunoda. This is their duck bill. Their King TTC DBP 200. Picked this up because it was one of theirs that they were specifically promoting. They showed some interesting uses, how you can use it on nuts and stuff. That's why the teeth go this way, so you kind of line it up, and that you're trying to hit not the flats of the nut, but the angles, like the two angles of the six sides, something like that could be used for this as well, I guess. You can hold it like this, and you can hit a nut, and then these would bite in the side, so you can turn it. I feel like it'd probably be better to get a different tool, but that is a use. Size of this, pretty nice. The head does feel rather large for the handle, though, I will say. But yeah, this is the most recent one I'd say that is like a flat nose pliers. Otherwise, I did have like a precision style that was part of, I shouldn't say part of, but it was a Craftsman from back in the day. I had a whole kit of them. you know, like long nose, yada yada yada. And I started out with one and kind of like picked them up as I needed various ones. And I did have a non-tooth, like flat. That was kind of more in this style, but precision, like a little spring guy, about that long. The head probably didn't even go past the hinge, like that size, roughly. Trying to remember what I used that for, because I bought it for a specific thing that was recommended for, and I really only ever used it for that. It even may be kicking around here someplace. But let me know what you guys use your flat nose pliers for, you know. And is this one big enough for those uses? When I see flat nose, I always get reminded of combination pliers, and then combination pliers remind me of linesman pliers. Well, the Knipex lineman pliers, or their version of it, has been announced. It's on the Knipex website. That is, however, one of the ones that is still not available yet, and I am set up to be notified once it is, I believe. You know, those are all kind of variations of a theme. And I was hoping to, before I have to do some stuff around the house here, to have the Knipex linesman, like the true linesman. I believe it's I don't remember if it's an 8 or a 10 inch, but I do know that their normal non-nip extend ones do come in. A lot of the electricians that work day to day prefer the 10 inch because you get a lot more leverage to it. There's a lot less force required on the hands, etc., etc. Those feel real big in the hands to me, but maybe different once I get a pair of gloves on. So this was the Knipex 20-02-160 flat nose. It would be serrated. Would be, you know, another name for those teeth. And you can see it does go to a tip here, so like it is meant to hold something, like for sure about that wide, you know, like a thin piece of sheet metal. You know, that is seems to be right where it's at there. Or like I said, the Sonodas were advertised as if you have a nut, rather than having the flats, especially with the serrations in there that are vertically up and down, you can go at the two angled ones and turn if needed, or at least hold securely. So this is definitely, I think a flat nose is one that like you try and pick up, or you work in an industry and then you have a coworker that recommends, he's like, oh, for this specific task, have you tried a flat nose? You know, something like that. So if you guys have some specific like recommended uses for, not just maybe because this is on, I feel like this is on a smaller size for flat nose pliers, but any flat nose pliers, please share down below like what you use them for. Yeah, maybe I can bring it up once another one comes in. But we're working through the nip extend as they come out. Oh, there's one from that Australia has, which is a combination, what they call long nose pliers, which is the needle nose pliers. It's not a long needle nose though, so it's like, but it's like a pointy combination. That I have some use for, though with current tariffs and shipping and stuff, I usually tend to wait to have a couple, especially because the guys out of Australia I buy from on eBay, they will bundle your shipping and give you a discount if you buy multiple at once. So I try to hit that if at all possible, just to, you know, save myself some money. Does turn out though that the conversion rate from USD to AUD is quite good. Still doesn't solve, you know, the non-inconsequential cost of these, but I've needed new pliers for a number of years now. Yeah, I've gotten a good 10 years or more out of a lot of mine, but it's kind of, Paisley just, there's a reason why that's on the floor. She jumped, landed on that, shot it off, almost knocked over the rest of this stuff. It can't just be a normal unboxing session, right? Nope. So And then what's going to happen to a bunch of my other tools is they'll either trickle down into other toolkits, like my work one that I carry in my car, or I have one kind of up in the office. Once I'll back up there, that has like kind of simplified older tools, but like still the most common ones that I need, especially for electronics and computers. But then just also just like your average screwdriver and stuff around the house, tape measure, stuff like that. Like electrical tape, double sided sticky tape, just so you got some on hand, easy enough. So a lot of these will trickle into there, and then also in the garage now. Um, for Christmas, what's it, 6 months ago or whatever now almost, I got pack up. So some of the tools that are still good, or I showed you some of my original Nipex, those will, for any of the ones that need it, they'll get warranted, and then they'll go out there because they're the non-nip extend handles. So I have some duplicates, or I think I've shown you where I've gotten, like, I've ordered the nip extend handles and they've sent me non-nip extend and either gave me a smashing deal on them or just told me to keep them. So those will go out there, so we at least have something. As in, like, if you're in the garage and need to get something done, yes, we all have the full setup and whatnot in the house, but you don't have to, like, if quick and dirty, and you can get done with what's out there you need to, rather than coming all the way in. Also, then that's with the pack out. That's what I plan to take along with when I need more tools. If you saw the compact drill and impact driver, that's what I plan to keep out in there as well. A lot of those my mom and other people use as well. That'd be the first thing I grab to hand to them. So we're definitely going up from worn out Crescents or Stanleys to maybe some other newer Stanley Fat Max, DeWalt, even some Nipex out there. So everything's kind of getting bumped up, and or I picked up those Milwaukee demolition screwdrivers. Those are now going in the toolbox as my mains. The DeWalt's, which I still really like with those acetate handles, however I can't replace them, so I don't want those to be my go-to. Any of my tools that I'm going to use on a regular basis, and some of you may not think of this, but that's how I do it, is I personally want to be able to replace it or warranty it. That way you can actually use it without, yes, you'll be out the money of the tool, or you'll have to send it out for a warranty, etc. But you can just go and buy another one and keep going. You know what I mean? And that's why it's always a bummer when like tools you like go out. When I bought, like for those DeWalt demolition drivers, that's like my personal third set, at least. It might not be including ones for work and stuff like that. And I really prefer that older design. Their newer design is by the Milwaukees at that point, if you're asking me. But so we can have a decent kit, in the garage to go. Like if they got left out someplace, or if the heater in the garage got left off and I got a bit rusty, I don't care, because those are the the previous tools of sorts. Thinking about it too, for the work bag, I may swap the DeWalt in there for the Nipex and put the Nipex in the garage. That's another option. Because I have a similar set of, because I picked up, like the 3 ones, if you're going to get them, are kind of combination pliers, which can work as a linesman. Needle nose, ideally get a long needle nose, nice and pointy, and get a wire cutter. Those are the ones personally that I use. That's what's in my work bag. That's of the Nipex. That's what I bought. Those are also readily available, like at Menards and stuff around here. So I could easily swap those into the work bag. If that's the route I want to go, rather than the DeWalt's that are currently in there, which I really like that DeWalt wire cutter. Been through a couple of them actually. Just their dip grip. The combination pliers of the DeWalt, not too happy about. Thing is beefy as. So And so is the needle nose of that too. They're like certain things are like the wire cutter itself very well sized, and some of these other ones, it's kind of opposite of this guy, which has a big head, tiny handle. Those are like just skinny long handle, but massive head. The needle nose almost looks like just like a pointy combination or linesman pliers. Kind of crazy. I think I've shown them off before, but you know, so maybe I'll swap those out. Either here or there. Still got my OG Fat Max up in the kitchen, not kitchen, up in the closet of the office. Really a shame that when Stanley bought out DeWalt, they got rid of their Fat Max line, because they were legitimately good tools. I had a lot of them because that was like a more premium brand that you could just kind of find around, even like your likes of Walmart, you know. Sadly, not anymore. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let me know, you know, for a smaller 125 millimeter with the smaller acorn head, was it 5.5 inches long? Let me know what you'd use this for. I think some electronics work would be great, especially like car, like in dash sort of, or if you're doing stereo work, not the big giant, what do you want to call them? Like the power cables and stuff like that, but like the actual like wiring of it would be great. And then let me know what you guys use your flat nose pliers for. Like, what's your number one use for one of these? You know, why would you go to it over, you know, like a combination or some other common pliers? And hopefully we'll see in the next video where we take a look at that new Milwaukee set, which is, which reminds me, I have to go to the car to get the old one. Peace.